It's time for a big clash between Alireza Firouzja and Praggnanandhaa. This time they are going to play blitz against each other, but in a classical tournament. Why are they playing blitz? Well, that's because in the classical format, after 9 rounds at the Superbet Chess Classic, both of them ended with 5.5 out of 9. In fact, there's one more player, MVL, who also finished with the same score. And now, in order to ascertain the winner of the tournament, there's going to be a blitz playoff. They are all going to play against each other, and in the end, the one who comes out on top will be the champion. So a lot at stake here. Firouzja has the white pieces, Praggnanandhaa has black. They played blitz against each other at the Superbet Rapid and Blitz just a few days ago, but this one is different because this one is, I think, very important. This will determine the winner of the classical event here. You can see Pragg super focused, Alireza also looking poignant there. They shake hands and we are ready to go. E4, E5, knight comes out to F3, knight C6, and we have the Italian on the board with bishop C5, C3. Knight comes out, he plays D3 defending the pawn, A6. The bishop pins the knight here and bishop A7. Alireza and Pragg are playing the same opening that was played between Alireza and Gukesh in the classical event. So Pragg must have studied that. Bishop H4. Well, that's the life of a professional player. You not only have to look at your own games, but also at other top level games so as to understand the trends and all that is happening. Now, how do you continue here? One idea is to push your pawn to G5. That's possible, but Pragg is sort of taking his time and plays knight E7. He's now wanting to get the knight here, kick the bishop off, but the bishop has an opportunity to take the knight and he takes it. Pawn takes, spoiling the structure here, but black is very solid. White castles, the G file has opened up. He goes knight G6, the F4 square looks tempting. Pawn to D4 in the center. Now the black king is in the center, so it makes sense to open up the center of the in the position. Pragg goes C6. And now rook comes to E1. What is Pragg going to do next? How is he going to place his pieces? It's not so easy. Maybe one idea is to push the pawn H5, H4, H3. That's a nice idea. This bishop is standing here like a sniper, but the central pawns are pretty good. So also for Alireza, he has to figure a way to break this structure. And maybe one way is to go B4, B5. Something has to open up. Because with such a king, you need to open up the position. He plays H5, a good move. You can see the times on the clock. Pragg has 4 minutes. Alireza close to 5 minutes. So a minute's edge on the clock. But now he gets into the thinking mode. I really like the idea of B4. Because there you are able to just gain space and then put this queen here, threaten B5 and so on. He goes knight to F1. That's also interesting because the knight very well could go to E3 and then jump into F5. This is a weak square because no pawn protects it. But if you can get like knight E3, knight H4 and then both the knights looking here, that would be just amazing. It's difficult to do that. H4, Pragg is like, I'm coming at you, Alireza. I'm going H3. I'm going to weaken up your pawns here. And Alireza goes knight E3. He's just continuing his play in the center. Should Pragg go H3 here is the big question. Because H3 will definitely be met with G3, keeping things closed. Is this an improvement for black or not? He goes knight F4 here, putting pressure on the G2 point. You can see the H4 pawn is preventing the G pawn from moving ahead. And now rook G8 with bishop H3. And this G2 point can become a very big focal point in the position for attack. Bishop F1 could be defensive idea. But then again with the Alireza, you always know he's looking for counter-attacking moves. Queen B3, attacking the pawn on F7. Well, of course, I'm just going to go Queen E7, I believe, and defend it. Yes, exactly. Pragg does just that. He defends the F7 pawn. I'm actually finding it quite difficult for white to break through. He goes a5. I'm curious to see how Alireza is going to break through here. He pushes his pawn to a5, clamps down the queen side. It's a beautiful struggle here. Bishop e6, by the way. Not a silly move. But then I'm a bit worried about d5. Possibly like takes, pawn takes. But then you can go back perhaps. And maybe black is doing fine. So Pragg has to assess this move, bishop e6 in the position. Not an easy position for Pragg. 3 minutes 23 seconds. He goes king f8. Oh, wow. That's an interesting move. Is Pragg actually trying to bring his king to g7, rook a d1? I love this move that Alireza has made. He's saying, at some point when I take here on e5, if you take back with the d pawn, I have the d file open. Otherwise, if you take with the f pawn, your d6 pawn becomes weak. Rook b8 played by Pragg. He's playing a bit too slow here. That's the feeling one gets. Can Alireza put even more pressure here on d6? How can he do that? Well, one move is queen a3. It's a beautiful move, putting pressure on d6. Also, oh, he finds it. Amazing. Amazing move. Threatening takes, and check. Rook h6. What a defense by Pragg. Because if you take here, he wants to take with the f pawn, defending d6 this way. Amazing play by both the players. And look at the focus on Pragg's face. Well, it's all boiling down to the last few minutes. This is what tie breaks do generally. You play a classical event. You play 9 days of chess. It's slow. It's very, very measured. And then suddenly this blitz tie break determines the winner. Whew, it's brutal. Rook h6 and Alireza goes g3. Very, very provocative move, I must say, because he's opening up his king. He could have gone rook d2, rook d1, trying to put pressure on d6, which could have been much more calm. But now Pragg has a chance. He can take. I think he'll take back with the h pawn. Give a check. King comes up. In fact, I don't know who it benefits with the opening of the h file. Look at this. Take, check, king g2. Maybe the white rooks start to enter down the h file. So Pragg has to take this decision very responsibly, whether to take or not. But I guess he has to take, right? Otherwise, white would just take the pawn. But hey, there could be an exchange sacrifice. So, many possibilities here for Pragg to decide whether to do this, not do this, and he has to make this decision in less than 2 minutes. He takes 1 minute 44 seconds for Pragg, takes back. And now knight h3 check seems very logical. Where else can you go? Like if you go back to g6, that's just not a great square. I'll jump ahead with my knight to f5, and if you take, I take back, attacking your knight. No, that would be too much. But why is Pragg thinking so much? 1 minute, 44 seconds, and actually now he's gone down to 1 minute, 30 seconds. Let's go, Pragg. You can't think so much. By the way, I love how Alireza has been super patient with this structure and has just put all his pieces on great squares. Yes, he goes for a check. King g2 very quickly played. And now knight g5 back. Seems like a logical move there. But rook h1 is such a big threat. He goes king g7. Can we simply not go rook h1? That I personally think white's position is much easier to play than black's. Although the knight here is defended by both the bishop and rook and should be quite safe. But Alireza can also get tempted by knight h4. And both the knights looking at the f5 square, and then this knight almost trapped. But when you go knight h4, you have to be careful about rook takes h4. Why? Because then the knight gets a permanent square on the f4 square. Wow, so many possibilities. Now Alireza has more time. Actually, he has 2 minutes extra on the clock as compared to Praggnanandhaa. So he can think here. And that's a very good part, because this is a complicated situation. Here you need to calculate. You can't make your moves lightly. Knight h4, imagine this position. Take, check. Wow, this could be really dangerous. And maybe king h8, bishop moves, rook g8. Could be some attacking chances here. So Alireza needs to make his next move very responsibly. He's thinking here. I think he's basically thinking about rook h1 or knight h4. There are no other moves actually. de is also another possibility. I don't know if you are tempted by this knight f5 option, because after takes, it does feel like the rook opens up, but then I have e4 followed by d5 coming in. I mean, at some point, or the rook doubling down the h file. No, come on. This is not going to happen. This is bad. This is bad. You have to give up. And Alireza shaking his head there. He's not happy. He's not able to make that. He's not able to find that move that gives him the advantage. But sometimes there's nothing. As you can see the bar on your screen, it's all even. You have to play. And this shaking of the head, getting tensed, actually helps the opponent sometimes. Gives him more confidence. You can see Praggnanandhaa. He's just so focused and calm. Let's go, Alireza. Unable to decide. He's unable to decide what his next move should be. And that's really, really tough when it happens in a blitz game. It could also be that he's calculating something. He's reaching almost the final moment of that calculation. And then he's actually not able to do this. And this is one of the things that we want to do when you are showing the games to you. We want to show the entire thinking time. He goes knight h4. He does play it. And look at the time on his clock. 2 minutes. He's taken 2.5 minutes for this move. Insane. Rook takes. Whoa. Pragg sacks. This is what we were talking about. His knight gets this square. Now Pragg is 30 seconds ahead. King f3. The king, is it safe here? Is the big question. The engine thinks it is. But, okay, one check somewhere. Let's say a queen check here and it's almost a mate. But how do you get the queen into the zone? Do you go queen d7 here? No, but queen d7, there's already rook g1 check, and actually it's the black king that's in trouble. Oh my god, did Alireza evaluate all of this in the 2.5 minutes? I'm sure he did. That's why he was taking so much time. And now Pragg starts to think. Just imagine the amount of pressure, because pawn takes pawn is also attacking the d6 pawn. So now not only Pragg has to think about his own attack, he has to also think about the counter attack. King h7. And by the way, de5 now, if it played, you go queen e5 and you get your queen. He takes it. He takes here. Queen e5 would be epic, because after queen takes d6, you have queen h5 check. I mean, it would be really insane. He plays bishop c5, attacking the queen and intermezzo. b4 is possible, but then that would just sideline the queen. E takes d6 is possible. If you take my queen, I take your queen. Oh, Alireza takes on d6. Pragg plays queen e5. Super tense moment. b4. Now Pragg is winning. He needs to find f5 move. Very tough move. Actually, he goes queen h5 check. King f4. Takes. King here. Queen h5 check. Is he winning by any means? Is it a draw? Is it a perpetual check? King f3. Check. King f4. Oh my goodness. This game is now... Oh, Pragg almost lost on time there. Repeats here. And now a draw is agreed. What a finish there by both the players. Absolutely brilliant. Alireza smiling there. He, in fact, had great chances in this game. But in the end, it was also Praggnanandhaa who had the chance. And now, Pragg will play MVL. Also, Alireza will play MVL. And we will decide who the winner of the Superbet Chess Classic will be. But what an exciting game between these two youngsters. Let's look at that moment where Pragg had some winning chances. When Alireza pushed his pawn to b4, Pragg had an absolutely insane move here. He had the move f5. Now, the threat is if you take the bishop, I play f takes e4 and the king is completely roasted. It can't go here. It has to go to g3, and after knight d3 check, it's a mate with the bishop also looking here. That's the reason why after f5, he must play pawn takes, but then you have bishop takes, threatening bishop e4 check. And if knight takes, then queen takes already attacks the king here. And so it was very important for Praggnanandhaa to find this move f5, but if you look at the clocks, he had only 7 seconds in hand. And in such less time, it's literally impossible to find the win.